Alrighty, guys, welcome back to another episode of That Gym Girl podcast. Oh my goodness, I am on Zoom with a very special guest, Dr. Jen Fraboni. Hello, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Oh my goodness, guys, it's just wild to have Jen here because I've been following her for a little while and I was just like, I'm gonna shoot my shot. You know that saying, shoot your shot? I was
Yeah.
like, let's just fully send, let's go for it. And she's been kind enough to spend a bit of her time with us today. And firstly, I want to say congratulations on the birth of your little boy. Is it Dante?
Yeah.
Okay, I
Thank
wanted to get the
you.
pronunciation right. Yeah, I hope you and little Bubba are doing well and, your husband as well. That
Yeah,
is
we're doing great.
Oh, that's so good. That's so exciting. And it's interesting because we were chatting just slightly before, and I asked you, how's your day going? And you were saying that with the little one, it's life of a mum. And then you're also, a doctor of physical therapy. In Australia, we call it physiotherapy.
Yeah,
So if I miss up the terminology, please know it's the
all
same for
good.
me. Creator of Gen Health, which is your physical health platform, co-host of your own podcast, which guys, please listen to Jen's podcast. It's super educational, super valuable. And then of course a mama and a wife. Like, how are you? Damn.
Well, thank you. I think a lot of support has gone a long way in being able to navigate through life the way that we are now and truly. Like, I took off some time before I had the baby, just a few weeks, and that was the hardest thing for me, to take time away and not be involved and in my team and knowing what's really going on. And it almost stressed me out more, which the intention was to decrease stress. And now being, we're super fresh into it. We're only a month in of our new babe, but I love what I do so much that I was excited to be able to tackle both, knowing that I have support and I can step back when I need to. And really, I obviously want to be super present with my son as well, but I love what I do. I love my work. I love helping people. So being able to get back into that has felt really good along the way, and just slowly navigating what that looks like in life.
Yeah. And have you been surprised by the way in which becoming a mum has influenced your job and, being a physical therapist and how it's almost changed your perspective on anything?
I don't know if it's changed my perspective, but it might have made me a little bit more relatable with the community that I've already kind of cultivated through the years, which I love talking and helping the mom who's super busy and doesn't have enough time for herself, doesn't have enough time to add in different things. So it's like, I get it. Can you do 8 to 15 minutes a day? Like, I know it's a lot, but it's just can you do this little bit to start to implement into your life? And so now that I am here as a mom, and I think I'm able to relate into what people have gone through and are going through in this mom journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you said, the 8 to 15 minutes, because a huge thing is trying to build sustainable fitness and fitness
Yeah.
that is going to sustain the rest of your life. Have you had any challenge with that with your clients and trying to kind of put them into the mindset of, no, we need to slow things down and build these habits?
Yeah, I think especially when I worked more one-on-one with people as a physical therapist, I think that was the one thing that was hardest. It was like, I'm dealing with pain, but that's the last thing that I have to deal with. I need to get to my work. I need to take care of my kids. I need to cook dinner. I need to, like, it was this whole list. And when you're listening to it, you get overwhelmed of like, oh my gosh, of course you're stressed out. Of course your nerves are more sensitive and you're going to feel pain a lot more in your body because you have so much going on. And I think we get in pulled and sucked into the overwhelm because that's just the responsibility of life that we're all kind of
Mm.
having to navigate and go through in our own way, whether you're a mom or not. And so I think just being able to say, okay, how can I make these like smaller changes that are going to impact the way that I'm feeling in my body? If I know that I'm going to be bent over and kind of breastfeeding, that's fine. I'm not going to change that for someone, but can I implement some little thing that they can do as soon as they finish that isn't going to take very long? Or once the baby goes down in the first 5 minutes, can I implement something that is going to change the way that I feel later on in the day? So it's like, how can I start to sprinkle things in little by little that are going to make lifelong habits and changes in the long run? I think sometimes we go to PT or physio and we get this laundry list of exercises and it's like, okay, and how am I supposed to implement this into my life? Like, it's so not relatable. It's not ideal. It's not realistic. And so I'm trying to approach it from, okay, how can I make it more realistic for you? Something that you don't have to think about, but something that's really going to impact you in this short burst of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really interesting. Firstly, I want to pop a disclaimer that everything that Jen and I say isn't medical advice. Yes, she's a physio, but pop into your local GP, see a local physio, and get your own tailored advice. But moving on from that, I'm actually a last year pharmacy student, so
Mm.
I loving all the drugs. But it's super interesting because I love your content for the pure fact that we're trying to take patients or just human people off of medication and really utilize exercise and movement, because medication should be that last resort. And
Mhm.
I feel like there are often, even as you said, moms or general people living with pain or living with just like things in their neck or whatever it is for so long. And then they just use pain to supplement, or pain medication to supplement, sorry. And I'd love to know, this is an interesting question. Has it been difficult to navigate trying to take this issue into your own hands and give advice to the general population?
I think I've integrated it so much in my life that it is who I am, and it's a part of not only me as a person but my husband as a human as well. Like, movement is just so impactful in who we are as individuals, so being able to have that support and that I think it's just I feel so grateful that it's come so natural, and it was modeled for me when I was growing up as well. My mom was always working out. She still is. She still comes over and works out with me, and she's 70 years old now, and so I think it was just modeled for me that it's become a lifestyle. It's not something that I'm trying to do to lose weight. It's not something I'm trying to do to look a certain way. It's just because I want to feel good in my body and in my mind, really. So the more that I keep moving, the better that I feel in that. And I know that's only supported my postpartum journey. I had people reaching out like, oh my gosh, you're doing that 2 weeks after, which was just like going on walks and moving a little bit more. But some people couldn't imagine doing that after C-section in 2 weeks. And I think because of how I supported my body coming during pregnancy, it supported me so much afterwards. And so yesterday I got my first real workout in 5.5 weeks in, and it felt incredible in my
Yeah.
body, just so good. So I just know that it's going to be a little interesting to navigate, like how I'm always implementing it, but I know that it's part of my life because of who I am, and I know that I'm going to keep trying to model that as best as I can.
Yeah. And I don't know, I haven't seen, do you have TikTok, by the way?
I am on, well, things get posted on there, but I won't say I'm personally on there. I'm
Yeah.
personally more on Instagram.
I was only curious because I saw your challenge with your husband, the pregnant challenge, and I thought it was so funny. I was like, oh, I wonder if there's any more on TikTok. But if you guys haven't seen that, that's actually fucking hilarious. Like the things like the clean, I was like, oh God, thank God he's not pregnant. Um, but on TikTok, there's this huge trend of this exercise is optimal and this is not, and this is the right way and this is the wrong way. And when you're a
Yeah.
beginner in the gym or just, trying to navigate movement, you just kind of sit there and go, what? I don't know what to do now. I thought I was doing the right thing and now I'm not. And I have two parts to this question. Firstly, why did you use the term optimal? And I guess secondly, what does that even mean to you and to all of us?
Yeah. Our intention, especially through our podcast, since it is the Optimal Body
Yeah.
podcast, it's so you start to identify what optimal means within your own body. And that comes from not only how you're moving, but how you're feeling in that movement. Because we can always do something a little bit different. And it's you really dictate what feels best when you do that. Us as physical therapists or trainers, we can always guide, but we're not going to know exactly how it feels unless you're telling me and you're feeling it and you're doing it. And so optimal really is what you're implementing to find your own optimal body, not what it looks like, not what it's supposed to be, but what it feels like in your own body.
Yeah. And I guess with that comes a lot of trialing and a lot of error, I guess.
Yeah, and it just is, it's a constant exploration. Like, there's never a moment where we get out of pain and we live a pain-free life. That's not the reality. We're going to have pain in our bodies. That's a part of it. And if we don't have that signal of pain, then that's bad.
Yeah.
Because then I don't know if I step on something hard, if I slept on pillows that don't serve my body, or if I did movements in the gym that were way overdoing it, and then my body speaks to me after. I need those pain signals in order to know that I need to change and do something different. But it doesn't come from someone doing it on me. If I felt pain because I'm sitting too long, if because I'm doing something wrong in the gym, well, then I have to move and do something different in order to feel a different result. And so, even as a physical therapist, yes, I get my hands on people, but the main goal is you understanding what you need in your own body without me touching or doing anything for you. You got to understand it because it's a continuous journey through life.
And I guess that might be a hard obstacle for both the physical therapist and the consumer because, as someone who has, when you have pain, you just want an answer. You want the quick
Yes,
fix.
of
You want to go
course.
to Jen's page. You want to just pick the right video and then you want it to just go away. And I think that, as people who watch videos, we need to be more educated and more kind of self-aware and just trial, and then maybe it might not work for you and then change it.
Definitely.
So I have a few mythbusters I'd love to just throw at you. I listened to a few of your podcasts yesterday, I want to say, and you mentioned in one of them, I'm not going to tell you which one because I can't remember. You guys have a lot of episodes.
We do.
But I do love all of them. You guys were chatting about how Dom used to do ice baths.
Yeah.
Um, Ice baths, yay or nay? What's your opinion?
I think they could really be amazing for the body and especially the mind. The way that it kind of flips your physiology the moment that you get into an ice bath, it puts your body into this fight and freeze state. And so you actually have to control your breath to get you into more of that parasympathetic, down-regulated, rest, relax, digest type breath. And that's possible in the ice bath once you understand the breath control. And it's a really cool process because we all will experience stress in our life. And so when you feel that moment of stress coming on, of anxiety coming on, and if you have the tools to understand how to control your own breath and flip that switch in your body, and all of a sudden everything starts to change and you're not so stressed out and cortisol won't rise up to the top, then we get to control a lot more within our physiology and our body and decrease those pain signals even. And so I think ice baths can be really powerful for that. There are some studies, and also that, based on how often you do it, there's some fat loss that can come along with it. I'm not as much into that science as I am into the breath work, the physiology, and the pain of how we kind of flip our system that way.
And that kind of moved into my next question because when this podcast started, just before I pressed, launch for the episode, I did breath work. So I took the deep breath and I would let it go into my ribs and I really tried to relax everything. And guys, I got to tell you, I'm not somebody who does mindfulness a lot or any breath work a lot, but when it comes to these situations, I have to tell you before every big podcast episode, this type of breath work that Jen promotes, it literally will change the entire script of how this podcast will go.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So could you
It's a
go
game
into,
changer.
yeah, it literally is. So could you go into that? What is one small thing? Is it the what I did or anything else that can help somebody just immediately?
Definitely. So typically when someone says take a deep breath, what we all do is we take a big breath into our chest, our shoulders rise up to our shoulders and or our ears, and we're thinking of this inhale a lot, which is great. We want to think of the inhale, but we want to think of the inhale coming from our rib cage. So we don't want the shoulders to raise vertically. Okay. So if we can wrap our hands around our low rib cage and kind of give it a little squeeze, and then see if you can breathe into your rib cage and feel those hands expand, and then take an even slower breath out, either through pursed lips or just through your nose, and take a really long exhale. When we get into that state, that's when we're going to flip on our parasympathetic, rest, relax, digest. And it's just, I've had people who have had years of back pain on my table and doing this and in tears because all of a sudden they don't feel back pain anymore. And it's not what I'm doing, it's how they're talking to their system. And all of a sudden their brain is like, oh, I don't have to be firing on all cylinders all the time. We already have all these stressors going on in life, like we talked about before. So if I can have one thing I can control, if I can control my breath, then I can control or help control what I'm feeling in my body.
And this will kind of go a little bit deep, pharmacologically, but from my perspective, it actually works for not only pain, not only stress, but once you kind of regulate the cortisol, also your gut and your stomach. If you guys are having diarrhea or any of those types of things or stomach cramps, obviously this might not be the cure, but maybe give it a go, because for me personally, you relax everything, and there are those receptors in your stomach that are going, everything's stressful, and maybe you need to regulate those as well.
100%. And even that, when we get that diaphragm moving and pumping, and we're really focused on big inhale, long exhale, we actually pump into those intestines as well, which helps them to move a little bit. So that even can help the digestive system kind of move through.
That's so amazing. I love that. And I was just thinking, because this podcast is more related about gym girls and gym
Mhm.
anxiety. And, if you're a woman with gym anxiety, do this before you step into the gym. Really like center yourself and create this special moment for yourself. Now, one kind of last question is there a topic or a conversation that you wish people asked you more about, or something that's going on that's coming up on your socials or in your world where you're like, oh fuck, I wish this had more attention or more eyes?
Gosh, there's so many ways that I can go that I continue to hear all the time on social. I think one thing is knowing that you don't have to rely on another provider to a provider should be able to guide you, but their hands-on treatment isn't magic. They're not putting anything back into place. They're not realigning you. They are talking to your nervous system to help you feel better in that moment and use that moment to then move. The only way forward, the only way we get out of pain, we feel something different, we create a different movement pattern is through movement. So use what someone does on you as a tool, but it's not everything. So if you're going back again and again and again just for that quick fix, or you're thinking it's the fix, it's a tool. And it's not bad, it's helpful, but it's not everything. So we get to rely on our own bodies, not on other people to magically fix us.
Yes, and I guess it comes to that: educate and then execute on yourself. So
Yes.
receive the education and then execute on your own body and see if it is something you can kind of implement long term. Well, Jen, that kind of comes to the end. We're at that kind of 20-minute mark, but I just wanted to say thank you so much. This has been such a wonderful experience.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm glad I could take a few minutes away and do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, do you have anything coming up for you at the moment, or are you kind of working on the projects that you've got at the moment, really getting everything down because you've got a lot going on?
We do have a lot going on. Our main focus and everything is in our Gen Health platform, which is kind of, we call it like your physical therapy in your back pocket, which we're not assessing you, but I've created plans for every part of the body that really help to take you on a day-to-day path on how you can start to implement movement to start to feel something different, whether you have back pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, or just want a full body plan to follow from a doctor of physical therapy. And so that is always like our baby of what we're just trying to get people to experience, to try to see how they can implement into their life and see what that would feel like. That's our main focus for everything.
So guys, if you want a one-stop shop, please have a look at this program. I'll kind of link it in the description down below. Gen Health. I had a look last night because I've thought about jumping on before because I do have my own coach, but I have to say it's literally got everything. All the programs, any pain-related thing, any exercise you need. You're getting it from Jen, a physical therapist. So guys, for that price, I'd get on that shit ASAP.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I better let you go. Thank you so much for coming on and spending your time with us.
Thank you for having me.
No worries.